Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Couple channel. I'm Wendy and here is my review for Borderlands. Infamous bounty hunter Lilith forms an unexpected alliance with a ragtag team of misfits. A seasoned mercenary named Roland, preteen demolitionist Tiny Tina, and her muscle-bound protector, Tannis the scientist, and Claptrap. Together, the group must battle dangerous bandits to uncover one of Pandora's most explosive secrets. Borderlands, based on the popular video game of the same name. I love the game. Dustin and I have both played the games. We love them. We love the character. So when we heard that this movie was being adapted into screen, and this was like years ago, we were really excited to see what they were going to do with it. One of the things that immediately I was kind of scratching my head with was the decision for them to not go rated R for the movie. I don't know if making this movie a rated R means it would perform not as well in the box office versus if it was rated PG-13 because it's a broader audience. But if you've played Borderlands, I feel like this movie probably should have been rated R, especially if you have a director like Eli Roth, who I feel like could have done so much more with this movie had it been rated R versus PG-13. Now, I also want to say that I found out, I think it was just a few days before going into watching the movie, that this, while it is based on the video game, has the characters and obviously same looks and everything from the video game, they were telling their own story that is not canon. And I'm glad I knew that ahead of going into the film, because as they were telling the story, had I not heard about this, I would have said, that's not the origin of these characters that I know. So looks-wise, like costume, hair, and everything, and even the landscape of Borderlands, I thought it was very colorful. I think it really did capture all of, the visuals from the game. I wish they featured more creatures, like the skags and the raks specifically. Sorry if I'm pronouncing those wrong. It's been a minute since I've played the game. But I feel like initially when you enter the game, like that was sort of your first enemy interactions aside from like the psychos. You were fighting skags and raks, and they were kind of like annoying because they keep coming after you. And I want to say I counted like 3 skags where I feel like they should have been really scattered throughout this world, but that is really just a tiny complaint. So the story for the movie is that Atlas, if you've played the game, you know who or what Atlas is looking for his daughter, who is Tiny Tina. Again, this is not canon. This is the story that the movie is telling, and Atlas has hired Lilith, the bounty hunter, to find his daughter and contact him once she finds Tina. And that is where Lilith meets up with Tina and Krieg and Roland. And then Claptrap naturally comes along with them, being as noisy as possible. Look, there's a lot of people saying, I feel like it's very divided between whether you like Jack Black as Claptrap or you don't like him as Claptrap. A lot of people complain that, saying that they could really hear Jack Black in Claptrap, and I can see that a little, but it wasn't so distracting. It was not so vastly different from the video game obviously the video game, the original, is always going to be better, but I think Jack Black did a fine job as Claptrap. He, popped in and said his lines and be sort of the comedic relief when the script called for it, and causing chaos. And other than that, it was really our characters traveling through Pandora, trying not to die and find the vault. We also have Kevin Hart as Roland, and while I loved Roland in the game, who has like a really big presence, I feel like they made Roland into sort of this throwaway character. He was not really on screen and didn't have as much to do as I expected him to have. I feel like the focus was really on, naturally, Lilith, but then also Tiny Tina. And so it was really interesting to have that choice, to have a very iconic, playable character, Roland, in the film, but then he felt like a throwaway. The dialogue, it was okay. It felt really jumpy and messy a lot of the times, and I get that the world of Borderlands, like the game, is chaotic and there's mayhem, and they tried to put that into the movie, but it wasn't. It was instead of organized chaos, which is something that you want and it's great for a film, it was unorganized chaos, to the point where even the action scenes, which we saw some in the trailer and I thought they looked pretty cool, we got to see it on the big screen, and it wasn't hitting for me, and it wasn't. I think there was the long trailer that they had. I think that was probably in my opinion, like the best action scene. And then there's something in the third act that's like really, really good, but I can't talk about that because this is supposed to be a non-spoiler. So if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. I do like that the best, but again, I can't talk about it in this review. So I'll just talk about the ones that I don't feel is as spoilery. So for the most part, the action scenes felt like if you were playing a video game and you're getting waves of like the cycles coming at you. That's what it felt like. It didn't have. I really wanted like specific, gunplay and maybe seeing some Easter eggs from the game. And believe me, there are some Easter eggs from the game. Like if you play the game enough, you'll spot a lot of them. But it didn't have character specialties that you could do in the game. They didn't translate that to the film, so it was really just a mass shootout essentially between our heroes and the waves of psychos, and it just was so chaotic that you couldn't really, there was nothing to focus on, and then it was over. So it should have been exciting, but I unfortunately was not excited by it. I feel like this movie also fell into a lot of the trope of like, okay, these lines from the game, people like these lines are recited in the video game often, so we're going to put them in the movie, which is great if you can find a really creative way to put them into the writing. But every single one of those felt really shoehorned in, and it just unfortunately didn't work for me. I wanted to like Borderlands so much. I was holding out hope. I was like, please let it be good, because I really do love the game. I will say the watching the movie did reignite like I want to turn on the game and play it through, for like the next couple of weeks or so, just to kind of go back in that world. While they translated visually, they interpreted the world of Borderlands well on the big screen. It was cool to see all of that, costumes, characters, etc. come to life. I don't feel like they really captured the essence of what's cool about Borderlands. The choice, I applaud them for telling their own story, wanted to create their own story that is outside of canon, but I feel like it was a really wasted opportunity to really hone in on Lilith's origin. If you know, you know. So the dialogue felt pretty messy and all over the place, and unfortunately I was not impressed by most of the action scenes, with the exception of the finale stuff, because that was pretty cool to watch. And with that said, my rating for Borderlands is stream it. With the caveat that if you are a big fan of the game, potentially this could be a skip it, because if you're looking for the storyline from the video game to be in this movie, it's not going to be there. It's the characters and the landscape and the visuals and some of the one-lines that you would hear from the game, but the story is entirely its own thing. And I feel like, I don't know. If you're a fan of the game, let me know your thoughts once you've seen the movie in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.